The first thing I like to do is I've climbed up my scaffolding, which I use here as an elevated platform. A little more sturdy, a little more room than a two-person ladder stand. And do a 360 of your bait area now that the leaves are gone. I'm gonna see the back trail that I came in on. A couple times bears would come in around behind me and cross the trail to see how fresh hue and scent was. I actually have a sanctuary tree right here by the bait site, which is a fantastic opportunity because we know that the sow and cubs, that's where they kind of grew up at. A sanctuary tree is something in the springtime that the sow dens close to for her newborn cubs to be able to run up at the first sign of danger, or timber wolves trying to snatch them and get a quick, easy meal. I can know that at my bait site down here, I just want to show you one of my top guide tips is to create a pine tree, I call it a corn maze. So a pine tree corn maze in front of the bait site. I've looked at hundreds and thousands of trail camera videos, and the more bears that come, the more worn down and wide open the bait site becomes. So for big bears, you wonder why they're coming at night, because it's too wide open for them. I mean, I've got a great spot here. In the spring, you can't see 5 feet in these woods because of the massive amount of green leaves and grasses growing up in here. But I want to show you how, by making a pine tree maze, I put my Mackenzie Delta archery target 3D bear out so you can see that to the bear at eye level, he's in deep, dark, thick cover right here at the bait site. So if you learn anything, absolutely do that. I mean, every outfitter, guide service, person baiting all on their own haven't used this. I discovered it over 20 years ago and it works great. The bears come in and you are creating a more normal environment, something they don't have to put up their 100% alertness on. They're just that little bit more relaxed. And in the evening, that just means that trophy bear will come in just that little bit earlier in comfort during legal shooting hours. So again, we're just going to look around the area. A lot of bears would come in from the left there. And the last time I was in here, a huge bear came in right from behind the stand. You can see there's kind of an opening trail there, walked right around the scaffolding. A few other little side horizontal trails, and came right into this site. Okay, back on the ground again. Just came down from the scaffolding. Give you a nice look at that. Little tough setting up by yourself, but grab a few of your hunting partners. Got some burlap up there. What I'm going to do is switch that over. I learned a great technique here from the outfitters in Manitoba where they put a ground blind, a cloth camo ground blind right up there. So they are completely enclosed. They're out of the weather. If it rains, zero ability to see any movement, and just fantastic. You know, you can sit back in your lawn chair up there and have lunch and wait until the bears show up. So again, looking around, just take a look at this. The bears would come in from all these small trails in all directions, especially over here on the left. You can see it's worn right down to mud. They're just following this hard mud path back out to the left. And again, the beauty about post-season scouting is this amazing visibility. Now we'll come up to the bait area. You can see how beautiful this pine tree maze works for my bear decoy as the subject matter. Right in front of me, there's a sanctuary tree. In the spring, I actually put my ladder stand on that tree, and every time I showed up, the bears were either sitting in my stand or just above it. So that was a quick extra lesson. When you're setting up your bait site, again, I chain it up so that they can't run away with the barrel. On both, I gave them both a a vertical presentation and a horizontal. This way I can tell if a bear's back comes to the top of this barrel. It's obviously a boar at that size, and it's definitely a shooter. For a sow, if her back comes and covers that hole, just above that hole, which is actually the second line on the barrel, that is also a shooter for a sow. With the horizontal baits, I gave them 2 holes. So a lot of times I see the bears standing up, which helps me also with recognizing the gender. And so many times I would hear the bears just this extra 20, 30 yards past the bait site. I would see the odd black movement in the woods, but again, it was so thick. And now, second sanctuary tree. We're gonna have to check that out. Now, why is this one right here so dark in front? That's because of the lure. Using a super soaker, I was able to spray the fryer grease that was enhanced with a butterscotch additive and spray it up high so it gets on the wind currents. Just amazing. Look for these sanctuary trees, which is usually a white or red, big pine tree. You know, they're like 70 feet up. And you can see usually around the base, it's kind of worn, especially here. That's where the bears will lay out of the weather. And in this case, they were sneaking in directly from behind it. The vast majority of bears coming to this bait back and forth came from this direction. So we're gonna backtrack this. It's definitely leading to that second sanctuary tree. Look at this. That is a worn trail. So many times I would see them coming 20 or 30 yards away. And let's see what else we're gonna find along here. Oh, here's a sign we can count on. We're looking at this 4 or 5 inch diameter poplar tree. You can see how the bark looks different from a white cakey look right here, where the bear's fur has been rubbing up against it every time, back and forth, coming right from this other sanctuary tree. Wow. Now this is a worn tree. Let's look at this. Right in the middle. So many times, dozens, if not hundreds of times, the bear's really sharp claws have climbed this tree. Right to the point of bearing it down, like smooth. It's actually, you know, more of a copper colored in the bark from all of these times coming up and down. They've broken all the branches on the lower part from running up, chasing each other. Dominance taking its place here. And now let's kind of go around the base, see what's going on here. It's worn down from all the sleeping and playing and wrestling. They've created their own little cleared out area here. And this is an old tree. You can see a big crack has formed in it. Going right up this tree. Aren't these amazing? They're so beautiful. And this is all worn down from resting during the day. Oh, we even have a bone remnant here. There you go. Kind of a chew toy for a bear. And right about from here, there's a series of branching off trails. This one right here, Looks pretty well used, heading off to the left. Another one heading deep back in the woods there to the right. And again, a little 360-degree look at this area. Looking back at the sanctuary tree over by my scaffolding and the bait site. And then how do they get downwind of me? They stage right here. Now this is definitely a staging spot. They sit here, survey the situation, test the wind currents, listen for any unnatural noises, any extra movement, and then they come right down here. They get downwind of me, circle me, and then come in. Bears are a highly intelligent animal, and I always say that I treat them like a special forces trained sniper. You have to have everything done correctly: scent control, stand placement, and using all the modern techniques and equipment to cover your scent, and with high quality food and attractants. Well, I've been circling the area around these two sanctuary trees. I've come across an old stump. That's why I know this was an old logging area, decades and decades ago. Why? Because of all these small poplars. This is all younger growth that's getting close to 15, 20 plus years old. I have the remnants of a stump that was cut by the loggers. And I'm just gonna follow this along. I think there's some more stuff over here. Just keeping in mind where the sanctuary trees are as my reference source. We'll just come through here a little bit, and this looks like, yeah, for sure. Right now, we have come across the old Loggers Road. Absolutely. Here we go. If we look at this, we look far in the distance, we have an old road. So this is what the animals are using for convenience to navigate. And if I recall from my Google Earth map, this goes uphill for a ways and down in a valley where there's a series of beaver ponds. So their water source is just at the end and over the hill from this old logging road. Oh, I love this. When you have a land elevation change, right down in the ditch of this logging road, I have a ravine. Heading down there, there's a creek that flows down in the middle, which gets very large in the springtime. And then again, it goes back up a nice ridge on the other side. So add all these things together. It's very similar to whitetail bucks. They like ridges, they like valleys. They like the ability to have easy movement through the woods. Again, there's my two sanctuary trees, my scaffoldings at the base of the right-hand one. If we follow this logging road a bit backwards, I had flag taped this once before, first time I came across it. And it is leading me back to where they used to stack the lumber so that the trucks could come in and haul it away. Now, what's become of this? I'm walking through a maze of very prickly wild raspberry bushes. Look at this, a whole field of them. So all of these are to my great advantage of having a natural food source in a wild raspberry patch here for August when they ripen up. Two sanctuary trees right by the bait site, within 20 yards of an old logging road for the ease of movements, and down to another ravine for dark cover and shaded movements. Right down the hill there. Absolutely some of the best ingredients when scouting for a trophy black bear location. Now I'm heading back out. There's Sanctuary Tree, there's the bait site, and in this little clearing are some other poplar trees that are just shattered. What you'll find, these are two causes. One, it's a communication marking post by a really big dominant bear. Or two, sometimes in the spring, bears in the adolescent stage, you know, around just getting close to 200 pounds or so, will climb up these trees, break them down in order to eat the small buds and the new growth leaves that come out on the tips of these trees. But from the size of this, see, I would assume more that this is a territorial marking because of the bait site and the sanctuary trees and the absolute perfect scenario of a raspberry field, old logging roads, ravines. I mean, everything that the most dominant boar would love to call home. Wow. Now, just 10 yards away from that last marking post tree that was bitten into splinters, there's even a larger one. Look at this. I mean, let me just put my hand up here. That is a nice sized tree. It's got claw marks. It's got just destroyed. I'll tell you what, the reason I started carrying a short 12 gauge when I was baiting again was for that reason alone right there. Yeah. So look for those. Sometimes you'll even find some that go back generations. Even this other one here, I didn't knock that over. That came in on a fresh rebait, and that was broken over. All in the same vicinity. Another great tip when you're hunting on public land is to cover up your trail. Make everything a little confidential, make it secretive. You don't want to advertise your trails, advertise your bait location, because people are curious and they'll follow that trail right back in and disturb your bait site, if not even remove some bait or contaminate your bait site. So I've been in this little spot 100 times. I always leave with putting these logs back, this little Christmas tree here. I'm looking for any old used Christmas trees because they're artificial and nothing will bother them. They won't dry out, they don't turn red. Even if they had a little bit of a stand that I could hide under the leaves or bury in the dirt, an absolute, I call it the bat cave entrance. Something that you want to cover up, have it completely secret. And as you can see, I mean, pretty much the woods on either side look more active than the entrance I've used 100 times by walking, by sled, and by ATV. Again, one of these small sleigh toboggans is perfect for bear hunting. What you can bring in quietly without trampling things down with an ATV, just walking it in, whether it's your bait or equipment, is the way to go. Quiet, lightweight, inexpensive, and in this case I brought in tripods, the bear decoy, backpacks, everything I needed for my post-season scouting, and a little bit of photography along the way, and boy, it just slides right out beautifully. Something you definitely want to add to your equipment list for spring and fall black bear hunting.
Thanks for joining us. For more information, log on to www.venturenorthoutdoors.com. Remember, the next time you get a chance to head outdoors, venture north.